Buongiorno a tutti. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I hope.
Kind of.
I wanted to re-thank all the people who made this possible. Alison Kirshner, Alexander Gomez, but also our sponsors. Is this loud enough?
Yes.
Our co-sponsors, really, because we receive funds from a wide range of campuses, to which we're very grateful. And for it to be a truly California consortium, that's what needs to happen. We got excellent money from the Dean of Humanities, College of Letters and Sciences, excellent money from Stanford University, UC Berkeley, UC Davis, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, Scripps College, UCLA Division of Social Sciences, Cal State University at Long Beach, University of Southern California, UCLA of course, Department of History as well as Department of Italian, and San Francisco State University. So thank all of you, and if you're not here, you'll hear of it. The sacred. What is the sacred? Well, sacred is a word. It means only what people mean by it. People in rooted communities and societies. The notion of the sacred varies from one community to another, often even from one person to another. Some consider life sacred. Some only certain lives, particular animals, particular plants, select members of a species. Even when we say life in the most universal sense is sacred, we do not always agree about what that life is. Is it the palpitating, material, organic body, which bleeds and suffers, and which women like Simone Weil and Ortese have held in unnegotiable respect? Or is it something within that body, a spiritual life that it gives, and that even transcends that body, that makes the willing sacrifice of the body justified, even sacred, in view of the aims that this sacrifice may achieve, say in Holy Jihad? The immolated body may be sacred even when the body itself is not, or perhaps even because the body is not. What I mean to say is that many of those who consider material life sacred will find it difficult to kill others or themselves on behalf of a higher, more sacred principle. Others who can do such killings hold material life in lower regard and perhaps sacralize death and the martyrdom of the body by sacrificing it to a spiritual cause, performing a benediction upon its demise. But from these reflections, you can already see that the sacred is hardly a word with a variable referent, like the word useful, or proper, or read. Whatever is sacred is rendered such, and by a human performance. The sacred requires ritual behavior. Things are consecrated, and usually they're not things at all, but rather actions, places, contexts, comportments. Things can be sacred when they belong to these contexts, and these contexts must transcend what meets the eye. That's why I speak of ritual action. Ritual is symbolic action, which lifts the act performed to another sphere of experience. That's also why I began by linking the sacred to a rooted community. I think part of the challenge of our conference will be to determine whether the sacred can survive in communities not so bound together, communities of difference, where persons do not share the same sense of transcendence, or perhaps any sense of transcendence at all. For the sacred does require the sense of something absolute, something perfectly unlike everything else that resembles it. For example, a secular individual who associates a certain place with a sublime emotional experience, perhaps with a person who shared that place with him, can come to consider that place sacred, not wanting to frequent it with anyone else, not thinking of it except with emotion, singling out as an arena in time and space where life achieved a transcendent intensity and grandeur. Petrarch indulges such a vision of the sacred in associating particular landscapes with his beloved Laura. This is an individual, emotional, and I dare say modern experience of the sacred. And while it lacks the communal grounding, It requires the same inner collectedness and reinforcement that communities usually give their ritual actions. But the example of Petrarch and the etymological associations of the word sacred also point to something other than the realm of an unspeakably sublime, absolute value that comes with what is sacred. Associations of words such as consecrate and sacrifice suggest to me that the sacred is tied to loss, to absence, to unpossessibility, to a recognition of impotence, to a comparative self-immolation, insofar as whatever is sacred diminishes the self that stands in respect of it. There's a worshipful deference extended to the sacred, even if that should be a quite individual experience. What we have sacrificed, what life has sacrificed for us, what we are willing to sacrifice for it, these are what create the sacred, perhaps, from an anthropological point of view, requiring that a word or concept convert itself into a special type of practice, and that that practice in turn lift up a dimension of life into an unspeakable source of meaning. Well, with this short preamble, I will turn over the responsibility for elucidating this mysterious notion of the sacred to our colleagues, the 12 speakers of today's sessions, beginning with our chair this morning, Margaret Rose. Thank you.
Philosophy and the presence of classical literature in late